The Dharma, incomparably profound and exquisite, is rarely met with even in hundreds of thousands of millions of kalpas. We now can see it, hear it, accept and hold it. May we realize the true mind of the Tathagata. Today is the third day of this 7-day session, the first in January 2024. The first session. We've already passed the first day. And I'd like to address something that comes up for people, I think everybody in Zen practice. And to begin with that, I will share with you an interview with a man named Andrew Holacek. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about Andrew. This is an interview with Snow Lion, I believe. So the interviewer says, people need to see the connections between what comes up in their Zen practice and in their lives, and the efforts they are making in their practice. The very fact of having some challenges is actually a sign of progress. It's not what we think it is. Shunryu Suzuki talked about mind weeds, the things that come up that are difficult in our practice, and how we can use them as fertilizer for our practice. There's so much hype about Zen meditation, or meditation in general, being something joyful, sweet, easy, relaxing, de-stressing, and a lot of other things. But the reality is something else for a while. Be encouraged by the fact that it won't last forever necessarily. Or even if the challenges last forever, you will have learned how to surf them easily. So here's Andrew's response to that comment. This is exactly the case. We could summarize the entire path into one word: relaxing. I don't think you expected that, but it's essential. We usually go through life anything but relaxed, and we don't even realize it because it's so familiar that it seems normal and natural. Relaxing into the nature of your own mind. However, when we start to relax, the repressed elements of the body-mind come up. It's like opening Pandora's box. We discover that there is a reason we repressed these elements in the first place. We did not want to deal with them. But they tease us, they tickle us, and they bring us to a point where we have to do something, but we don't know what to do. Meditation gives us a second chance to relax into unwanted experiences in a healthy way that is based on equanimity and acceptance. It is a second chance to purify karma. In order to wake up, you have to face the shadow side that you've stuffed into your own body-mind. When you get on the path, you need to realize that you're asking for it. When we get and some things, I have missed a word here somewhere. Okay, I skipped a page, I think. Yep. When we get it and are unhappy with it, unhappy about it, it is because we failed to read the fine print in the Dharma Path contract. And now a little bit about Andrew Holacek. He was born in Bogota, Colombia, to a European set of parents. His father was Czech. His mother was, I think, Lithuanian. And he was raised Catholic. Eventually, he moved to Michigan. He grew up in Michigan and got a double degree at Indiana University later on in biology and is it biology and music? And then not long after that, he went to grad school in Columbia in physics. But he bailed on his physics because he realized that he was trying to find reality. His first life-changing experience at age 20, recounted in his he's got a book called The Power and the Pain. The Power and the Pain. That when you open to the pain that is stuck inside because of experiences in your life, because of conditioning, because of assumptions you've made about yourself and other people, that's when real liberation can come forth. But it is slogging through a swamp filled with poisonous snakes, treacherous animals, clinging vines that swoop down and snap you, murky water, heat hiding, God knows what, and a lot of other very difficult stuff. But if we persevere, and this is why perseverance, like commitment, like determination, are so important in Zen practice, we can open to joy and ease by walking through these difficult situations and opening to them and experiencing acceptance in the midst of it. We don't have to like them, but there's something called radical acceptance, which is you don't have to like it, but this is what it feels like right now, so I may as well accept that this is how it seems and relax into it. And it's amazing how powerful that is. Let's share some more. So his first life-changing experience at the age of 20, recounted in his book, The Power and the Pain, was when he was introduced to meditation. I had an idea such a state of consciousness was even possible, and I had to find and develop and stabilize this blissful state of mind. So it sounds like he had had some level of insight in the beginning. In an effort to understand his breakthrough, experience. For the next several years, he searched the works, the world's spiritual and religious traditions, and studied physics at the University of Colorado. I didn't know it at the time, but I was looking for reality. I thought physics described reality, and that all my answers could be found there. But physics doesn't. Physics describes physical reality. It does not describe more complete spiritual reality. I abandoned my study of physics and entered the darkest period of my life, feeling utterly lost and alone. I had no idea what to do or where to go with my life. Because my brother and my mother were both dentists, I decided to join the family, so to speak, and finally do something practical. I felt that dentistry would be a good profession to bring some stability and provide a way to help people. So in 1988, Andrew received his doctorate in dentistry. While at dental school, he continued to struggle with his deeper inner quest. In his late 20s, after poring through hundreds of books on religion, psychology, spirituality, and philosophy, he came across the teachings of Buddhism and found his spiritual home. I finally discovered a teaching that could explain my experience and decided I must be a Buddhist. Although I consider myself such, I also believe that no one, I think it's religion, or no one path, has the patent on truth, and maintain deep respect for any genuine spiritual or religious traditions. I simply realized that in order to harvest the fruit of any tradition, I had to commit to it. So he started studying Tibetan Buddhism and went quite deep in it. And there's some photographs of him with the Dalai Lama and other important people. And he studied in Tibet, Bhutan, Nepal, and India. Obviously, he was quite determined to get to the bottom of what was a challenge for him. And it's interesting that we all go through these periods of not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, not knowing how to deal with life, and yet feeling completely restless and thinking of all kinds of alternatives. If I only went here, then it'd all fall in place. If I only went there and did this, it would all fall in place. And we try, and it doesn't, because we're not going in the direction that we need to go in. We're not going into what has kept us caught, the contents of that inner Pandora's box. The practice will eventually set us free. But, in the words of one of my Dharma sisters in Rochester, who had just had a Kensho in a sesshin, she said, or she wrote in a letter to Roshi. She always asked for, when people had a kensho, he always asked them to write a description of it, write a letter to him. And often he would read these as part of his teisho. So she wrote that she was ready to leave. She was ready to escape any way she could. She said she virtually had to nail herself to the mat to stay in that sesshin. But that's the sesshin she got a kensho in. And at the end of it, she was so joyful. She said, this practice is so bodhisattvic. First, it shows us where we're caught, and then it sets us free. The being caught is the difficult part, but without it, we couldn't be set free. It's like someone said recently, there's no happiness without unhappiness. There's no joy without pain. There's no suffering without ease. And we tend to get stuck in the suffering part. But if we only keep working, particularly if we've had access to a very effective practice, which of course Zazen is, and to the teachings and to the opportunity to practice seriously, deeply, for extended periods, we will find that joy. But don't think it's going to come fast. It all depends on how much grief, pain, suffering, rage is locked inside us, in that inner Pandora box. But if we persevere, we will. I guarantee it. We will become free of that. And not free of it by jettisoning it, but free of it by walking straight into it and working through what caused the pain and suffering to begin with. It is an amazing process, and once we get a handle on how well it works, we're willing to keep on. And this is important. So I have a couple of other quotes I'd like to share with you. Mitra-roshi said in a sesshin at Tahoma Monastery back in 2014 the following: while we're all endowed with the original nature, it is what has given birth to us. It is so huge, we have to deepen our mind, not being in a hurry for a result, but to become awakened to this hugeness and completeness of wisdom that we are. Dogen said something similar, perhaps a little bit more frightening. But before I share Dogen, let me share Nishida Kitaro, who was a philosopher in the 19th and 20th century in Japan, very highly regarded. He was Buddhist, And he went deep in his practice. Otherwise, I don't think he could have said the things he said. In our mind, there's a depth so profound that waves of grief and joy cannot even reach there. In our mind, there is a depth so deep and profound that even waves of grief and joy cannot reach there. This is a place of total aliveness, total let-go-ness. It's not a place of shutting down, of turning our backs on feelings, of dissociating. It's reality personified. He continues, our place of birth is there. And if we don't believe it, we have to make a deep, determined effort to realize it. That's basically what Mitra-roshi said. Why do we need to make a deep, determined effort to realize it? Because it is worth it, and because we all come to birth exactly for that purpose, to realize the depth of that true mind, to realize, to experience, to live more fully from that true mind. But in order to do that, we have to be willing to open that inner Pandora's box, which it'll open regardless of whether we want it to or not, and to work with it. And there's so many effective ways to work with it. But we get impatient, particularly in this modern life. We're so used to instant gratification. That's not going to happen in this deep work. It's not going to happen in our Zen practice. There will be moments when we get insights, and there will be little glimmers of joy. But until they are deepened significantly, we'll fall back into the restlessness, into the discomfort, into the anger, the grief, the pain. And we keep working on it. We keep working on it because it will make such a difference. Such a difference. It's who we really are. But that deep, profound truth is hidden beneath all that conditioning, all that shoulds and oughts that we're taught we have to respect. All the things we concluded about ourselves based on how people treated us or reacted to us. None of which is really true. That's the irony of it. But we have to experience the truth of that in order to become free of it. So here's Dogen. Nothing to depend upon, this or any universe. Night falls, and the moon floods the water with light. Within the dragon's jaws, I find many exquisite jewels. Within the dragon's jaws, walking right into that unrest, that fear, that anxiety, that pain, that grief, that rage. So fully that we die to it and become free from it. Truly free. Say thank you for listening. We'll stop now and recite the 4 vows. Oops, I gotta change glasses.